welcome back to the channel and welcome to another video. The sound of birdsong. I know that we've spoken about it a lot on the podcast about the benefits that it has on mental well-being, but spending time in nature is scientifically proven to help. I've come out this morning. I'm about 2 weeks into gardening leave. I finished up my job at the start of June and we've just got back from an amazing cruise to the Norwegian fjords, which we booked completely last minute on a whim. We were due to be going up to the Yorkshire Dales camping and the weather looked absolutely horrendous, so we managed to get an amazing last minute deal, and I'm so glad that we did because we had such a fantastic time with tea and my parents. The scenery up there is absolutely spectacular. I would recommend it to anyone. And there will probably be a video to follow, so keep your eyes peeled for that, something a little bit different. But today, I've come back to a location that I happened to stumble upon last night on a walk with T. I didn't have my camera with me. And ironically, I think we call it photographer's law, but we found a little owl, a kestrel nest, and a very obliging fox. So I've come back to the same location this morning, and in the tree behind me, just up there somewhere, there's a kestrel nest, and no sooner had I arrived that the female is sat in front of me about 25 feet up in a tree, but she keeps coming down and going onto the ground and foraging for what I would imagine is either beetles or insects, as they typically do at this time of the year. But I'm going to spend the morning here seeing if I can get some photos and some footage, and I'm going to bring you along, so I hope you enjoy. It's quite incredible how wildlife can be found anywhere if you're willing to look hard enough. I'm in a public park and there's people walking around all the time, literally most probably completely oblivious to the fact that there's a kestrel nest in the tree that they're walking under. But there's dog walkers, there's dogs everywhere, there's vehicles, and wildlife will find a place and it thrives. It just needs to be given the habitat, and obviously there is typically an abundant source of rodents and insects in public parks, and obviously a lot of wildlife in urban areas gravitates towards green space, so it can sometimes be some of the best places to see and photograph wildlife, because A, it's relatively tolerant to people because there's always people about, and B, it's easier to get relatively close to, and obviously with telephoto lenses we don't need to get too close to be able to appreciate, see, photograph, but it's definitely more tolerant, and these kestrel chicks are just happily sat in the nest hole. The adult keeps coming in and out to feed, and it's quite beautiful to watch. Well, that was an absolutely amazing session of photography. Kestrels galore, male and female feeding, calling back to one another, going in, feeding the young. There's probably 4 or 5 young in the nest. Met a lovely fellow photographer in the field, a guy called Justin Jose, who is Justin.photography on Instagram. Give him a little shout out. Really lovely guy. Sat together for a couple of hours really, but yeah, absolutely phenomenal. Catching everything from beetles to crickets to dragonflies to mice to voles. So the kestrels are definitely feeding well, but they're certainly not a million miles away from fledging. So maybe I'm going to get a chance to come back at least once more. But a brilliant session. So glad that I came back, and from not having the camera last night to having the camera now. Yeah, it's been great to get some images and some footage. I'm back again. A couple of days after I was last here. In actual fact, T came last night with a friend just to see whether they'd fledged or not, and they hadn't. I was running the Fox workshop, so I couldn't come. But I'm on my way to the nest now just to see how they're getting on. Hopefully, there's still at least 4 in there, or they fledged successfully. We'll know in a second. So one has actually plucked up the courage to come out of the nest and is just sat outside the nest hole, and you can see the other 2 or 3 that are actually sat down still in the cavity behind it, but the one that's come out looks pretty well developed, losing quite a lot of its downy feathers, and it's been using its wings to try and build up those muscles. But just sitting watching it, stretching the wings, flapping the wings, I think they're close to going, you know, I really do. So what always amazes me is how young birds and animals, for that matter, learn. I've just sat here now and you can see the juveniles that are sat in the nest cavity turning around, sticking their tail out and then excreting out of the nest hole. And you can see just below the nest hole that there's a patch of whitewash, as we call it, where they obviously excrete and it falls onto one of the horizontal branches. But how do they learn how to do that? How, you know, it's incredible the way that young birds and mammals are so intuitive to pick things up. You know, this is let alone the fact that they're having to learn how to use their wings before they've even had the ability to fly, and then it literally is a leap of faith. It's just come down onto the ground, and literally no more than about 20 feet in front of me, just walking around on the ground. It keeps going off into the trees, hunting, coming down onto the ground, probably about 150, 200 meters away, but it's literally just landed on the ground, as I say, no more than maybe 15, 20 feet away. Amazing birds. Why are they called the common kestrel? Because in my opinion, there's absolutely nothing common about them. Not in terms of just numbers, because they've declined. But just in terms of their beauty, they're absolutely stunning creatures. What's really clear is the female is so vigilant. She's literally circling the sky at the moment, trying to fend off a couple of interested crows. But it just shows that she's literally giving every last ounce of energy that she possibly can to make sure that these chicks fledge successfully. Oh, absolutely amazing. The male has just come in and caught a field vole or a mouse and has literally given it to the female, who's taken it off and then started to eat it. It's all action this morning. It really is all action. So there's now very clearly a second juvenile that's come right to the entrance of the nest cavity. So you've got the one that obviously was the first to partially fledge, that's been sat there since I arrived. And now there's a second one that is very clearly coming to the front of the cavity. They're teasing me. It's, oh wow, it's stretching its wings again. The anticipation is absolutely incredible. So in the case of will they or won't they, it was won't they. They teased me endlessly, coming all the way to the front of the nest cavity, and obviously the one that that ventured out, but then after flapping its wings and stretching its wings and exercising its wings, it obviously decided that it wasn't quite ready. So that's unfortunately me done now. I'm not going to get to see them fledge, but I head up into the Peak District for 5 days tomorrow, so it's not all bad, and fingers crossed they successfully fledge over the weekend. If they do, I'm pretty sure that T will be here to see it, and if we manage to get it on any form of footage, iPhone or otherwise, I will put some footage up for you to see. But otherwise, I hope you've enjoyed the video. I look forward to seeing you on the next one. If you've liked it, please give it a thumbs up, and if you haven't yet, consider subscribing. Take care, get out in nature, look after each other, and I'll see you soon.